back to this week's episode of the 13th Sign podcast.
Welcome.
I'm Elise and I'm here with Billy as per usual. Almost had to do an episode this week by myself. I'm glad I didn't do it because it would have been a nightmare and incredibly boring. So, I haven't seen Billy for God knows how long. Is it a week? It's been 2 weeks. Come on.
It's only been a week.
No. Actually?
Like maybe a few days more than a week, but nothing.
Okay, well, it feels like about 25 years. Because me and Billy used to hang out all the time, literally like every single day. And then I moved to the other side of the planet, so it takes me about a billion years to get here.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we're here. Only one of us is queer, and we're ready to go.
Well, you know, with 5 planets in Saturn.
5 planets in Saturn.
With 5 planets in Aquarius, who knows what will happen?
I know, it might be a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
So what's been happening with you?
Not too much, honestly. Just been doing a lot of baby things.
Yes.
Because I'm getting quite close. But yeah, I've been actually really loving this Mercury Retrograde. It's been actually really nice. I've had a few technological difficulties, but I think that this Mercury Retrograde, if anything for me, has made me put down my phone and like be more in the moment and not focus on that type of stuff as much, so then less conundrums can happen.
Yeah, well, I've been having actually a pretty good time with Mercury Retrograde as well. There has been a lot of issues with work. Obviously, on the first day of Mercury Retrograde, they decided to bring in a whole new system that we had to learn. So that's been extra fun. So many fucking problems, but, you know, that's what we expect when you get a program that is a lot cheaper.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's it. Today, I spent like 15 minutes just waiting, looking at a loading screen.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then it would be like, then I'd do one more click and then it would be another 5 minutes waiting, looking at a loading screen. So it's definitely there, but I'm not letting it cramp my style.
Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. I can just chill here for a minute. It's, 5 minutes. I don't have to do work. Like, that's sweet.
And also, I loved what Venus did for us this weekend. I felt like I was able to have a good conversation and get things off my chest and have real good talk.
I did sort of take note when Venus went into Aquarius, and I did notice that I was having a lot of thoughts what it means to be in a relationship and if that's even a thing that I want in life at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I've been really struggling with that. I mean, hopefully my bae doesn't listen to this. He won't listen. But I'll tell him this anyways eventually. Yeah, so I've been just having some realizations because for a long time I have been struggling with what I want within a relationship and what that has to be. And then just recently I was like, why does it have to be anything? Like I feel like this day and age we're still thinking of those like traditional relationship
Archetype?
Yeah, and just being like, oh, well, if I love this person or whatever, like we obviously have to be in a relationship, or it has to be going somewhere that I know or I want, or like, where it's like, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, even if you think you know, you don't. So like I've been really struggling with being like, well, why do I feel a certain way when maybe that doesn't line up with like the traditional viewpoints of like what a relationship is or whatever.
I think because Travis and I were talking about this is what I was meaning about Venus being good, is we went out on a date and we were talking about like what we would be like if we hadn't met each other, and like how we would like the thought of dating, like because I have never had to date in the traditional sense at all. So it was like really interesting because it's like I feel like so many people are like chasing like love and like wanting to live in this fantasy of a relationship, but instead of like it's like they want it so bad that they just make it happen with the incorrect people, and like then it just ends up being a situation where they're like, okay, this is a safety barrier, I look like to my friends and family as if I've got my shit together because I have this person in my life. So we're just going to stay together for convenience sake. And then it's like, I feel like that's where like so many marriages are coming from nowadays, is because it's just like, oh, well, I guess we've been together for 5 years. I don't know whether I love you, but we're able to cohabitate this house together. And then it just ends up becoming like a marriage, and then kids, and then all of these things. And I think that's why like divorce and stuff is so high, is because people aren't doing it because like they just fall, like they're like a Leo and Aries relationship where they just fall head over heels in love and decide to get married and screw the rest of the world. It's more like they just want to appease this certain image.
I feel like, obviously we've come from like past generations where the ideal of a successful relationship is one that lasts 50 years. And it's like, you know, a relationship that lasts 6 months, a couple of weeks or whatever, that could be more impactful on your life than one that has been there for 20 years or whatever.
And that's like, positive or negative.
Exactly. Like, even if, say, a person fleets in and fleets out, that's not a word. Comes in and comes out.
That's probably a bad term to use as well when you're talking about relationships.
Scratch that. Let's just use
fleet. Enters you and then leaves your life. You were talking about people coming in and out. You started this.
Excuse me, I didn't put two and two together until you did. Let's just use the term fleety, because that's Fleeting. Not a word. Anyways, forgot what I was saying, but
no, I know exactly what you mean, because like you could fall in love with, well, not necessarily fall in lust with someone and end up traveling the world together, seeing a heap of things that you would never see or do because your typical life is like mundane. You like structure, you like stability and all of that, and you just go off with this Sagittarius for 6 months traveling the world and then you come back to your home and your stability and you never see them again. And that can be a completely beneficial experience to both parties, and it can be super, super positive, even though it didn't last forever.
Yeah.
Because if it lasted forever, it might have ended up being toxic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I think it obviously depends on where you are in life, like what you're wanting to do as well. Like if you're ready to settle down, obviously you might be wanting a partner that wants kids and wants to get a house, but doesn't mean that's more substantial than, you know, like the Sagittarius where you go off to Canada for a year or something and have this crazy time and just adventures and everything like that. You know, from an outsider's perspective, you know, the Sagittarius, you would be like, oh, like, that's not good for you. Like, that's your little fling that, like, doesn't really matter that much.
But it was a chance for you to see the world, and you never would have done it without that other person pushing you.
Exactly. And, like, that could be, in the grand scheme of things, a bigger impact on your life than this, like, secure Taurus or something that has, like, you know, made a home with you. And doesn't mean they're not they're not important as well. It's just different. And it, like, you know, there are different scales, but like it depends person to person.
Yeah. And because that was another thing that I was like thinking about, is like with nowadays, like dating is it back in like when we were more suppressed, it was a lot simpler. It was like you went on a date, you had a chauffeur, they escorted you to the movies, made sure nothing happened, and then came home. You weren't allowed to kiss them before you got a wedding proposal, and then you got married, and then you moved in together, had kids. It was like the line of a relationship progressed very linear, whereas now there's so many different relationships, and I feel like it's really hard to, like, for you to meet someone. And, like, it's like, not only do you need to know whether they're single or taken, you need to know whether, like, they are looking for someone to settle down with, whether they do only want, like, a casual thing, or whether they want someone maybe for, like, a year or two to, like, because they're just going to be here for that long, or they don't really want a strong commitment, but they like having someone around. Like, you need to figure all of that out, but you're not able to ask the direct questions because it seems like then you're crazy and like all of this stuff.
Yeah.
When it's like really you just want to know where their mind is so you don't waste your time. Because it's also a waste of time for the person that's just wanting something casual if they're having to put extra investment to get the same thing out of someone that wants something casual as someone that's like looking for something serious.
Yeah. But I think also a lot of people themselves, like, it's fine when you know what you want and you go after that, or you're like, okay, this is what I want, what do you want? But sometimes it is quite difficult when you genuinely don't know. Like,
but there's still so much pressure for you to still be in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, just because, say, you're wanting a friends with benefits type relationship, like, doesn't mean that that's not going to be, like, impactful on your life, or, like, you know, that's just a meaningless thing. I think I was struggling with, you know, if I don't want a relationship, then I just want something meaningless, and that's definitely not true.
Yeah, but that's because you're looking at it from the linear perspective of that it needs to go to all of these places.
Exactly.
But, like, if you look at it from, like, just building, like, a friendship with someone... is you can be like, you can have friends that you just go out and party with. You can have friends that you go to brunch with and like go out on nice little dates. And then
when you go to the gym with, or
like you can have so many different types of friends, and they don't need to be, it's not like your relationship with a friend is like leading to them being a bridesmaid. Or something like equivalent.
More. Yeah, exactly.
But it's just wherever it goes, and you can like, and your opinions and stuff can change along the way, and that's fine. You can grow apart, that's fine. But again, as you're saying, like, you can have friends that you're only friends with for a short period of time that are way more impactful than others that you've had for years.
I think that's also why, like, obviously polyamory is such a growing thing now, because like we've realized that we don't need to be tied down by one person, and like you can have like maybe a sexual relationship or a romantic relationship with multiple people, like, which is an option, and if that's something that you want to do, that's great as well. But like for someone like me as well, who I have had like my mom's gonna listen to this, hey mom, I have had an open relationship, and
she'd know that, wouldn't she?
I don't know if I've told her. Yeah, well, she's about to find out. So I have been in an open relationship and was tossing up the idea of polyamory. And in my brain, in my Venus Gemini brain, it's a good idea. But for my Taurus sun, it doesn't resonate with me in actuality. Like, even if I like two people or something, I still
feel like you need to choose.
Yeah, like, not so much choose, but just I can't equally
give yourself to both people.
Exactly. Like, it is very confusing, and I haven't fully figured it out yet. But yeah, like, I would love to be in a polyamorous or a open relationship again, but in theory, like in practice, I don't think it would work for me. And not the fact that like I would be jealous, because I mean, jealousy is natural, but I'm not naturally a jealous person. Putting all that aside, I still like gravitate towards one person, and I would never want like the other person to feel like they're not getting time or whatever like that. So I'm just like, that's too complicated for me.
No, because feel free to cut this out.
Yeah.
Because your mum's listening.
Yeah, hey mum.
But like, it's like with like a threesome or something. It's like, I know you've said that like you just can, like the only thing that really makes you uncomfortable with it is feeling like you're giving more attention to one person than the other, and that stresses you out.
Yeah. And I think like even in the threesome aspect, at least that's easier for me, because it's a period of time that I can focus in on and be like, okay,
I know, but you shouldn't but you shouldn't be having to like, you shouldn't be stressing. In that's time to relax.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Whereas, see, like I'm completely different. I don't have that conflict. Well, I guess I do have a Gemini moon and a Scorpio sun, which are like, let's be a little bit risque, but I'm a Virgo Venus, so I'm just like, I know what I want. I've got what I want. I'm just going to keep on doing like I'm just gonna be with what I want forever, and that's exactly what will make me happy.
Yeah.
Which some would call boring, and like I know that I have gone down the route of the traditional.
You have had a wild Scorpio time when you were young.
Yeah, I had, but that's the thing is like I had my fun, but then it's like when my they say that when you mature and stuff, all of your other planets really come out. When you're young, you can't really experience all of your planets because you haven't gone through a full cycle with them.
Definitely.
Whereas like for kids and stuff, your moon, your rising, and your sun are very important. And I think that as I got older, because I'm so old now, but like even just like when I was able to start feeling Venus more, it's like completely done 180s on my views of how I want my personal relationship to be. And I think that that's something that's very important, is everyone is entitled to have their own view on how they want their personal relationship to be. And that doesn't mean that anyone's right or wrong. Like, just because you believe what you believe, it doesn't mean that you think that I'm a horrible person and an idiot for being married.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And vice versa. Like, it's just, I think it's whatever makes you feel fulfilled the most, and like what gives you what makes you happy. Like, I personally could not do any type of open relationship because it would end in a few murders. And personally, I don't want to go to prison. And also my Mars is in Capricorn, so.
Oh, I was going to ask what your Mars is in. Yeah. Capricorn.
So I'm just like, I'm just want to get
shit done. My Mars is in Aries. Actually, I was totally on a stupid Facebook group thing about astrology, and you know.
Oh, your Mars is in Aries and mine's in
Capricorn.
But my Capricorn is exalted in Mars.
Oh yeah.
And Aries is in Mars.
Oh yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah, it was like saying, it was like, put your sexuality in here and tell me your Mars or whatever. And literally all the bisexuals were like either Libra.
Oh my god, of course.
or Aries in Mars, or Gemini. And I was like, well, my Venus is in Gemini and my Mars is in Aries, so
that makes sense.
yeah. But I was like, oh, that Libra, like so.
The Libra is like just so cute. Like whenever I hear anything to do with Libras, I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, that's
unless they're doing some bad things, because Libras
romantic,
aren't innocent.
but also
Libras can be little freaking demons.
Oh, 110%.
So
definitely. Anyway, so that sort of kind of leads on to what our topic of the day is. So obviously it's Valentine's Day next week, I believe.
It's this Sunday.
Is it this Sunday already? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's already this Sunday. So we thought we'd do a little bit of a Valentine's Day episode type thing and talk about...
It's also the Chinese New Year.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, happy Chinese New Year, everyone.
It's the year of the ox.
Oh, cool. What does ox mean? Do you know?
They've got it all set up. They've got a display in Garden City.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was reading about it. Ox is pretty much just sounds like the equivalent of Taurus.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about compatibility. There's a lot of bullshit surrounded with compatibility, and you know,
around there being like a magical yes or no as to if someone's right for you.
Yeah.
Like I think it all starts like when you're in primary school and you find those websites where it's like you type in your first names with like a guy you have a crush on and it tells you whether you're compatible.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then your friend just starts typing your name with every boy in the class, and then that's how they figure out who you have a crush on.
Yeah.
And then they go and tell everyone in the school that you have a... Sorry, I've got a little bit of trauma.
Who did this? Who hurt you?
No, but then it's like, well, obviously you guys are meant to be together because your names are compatible. And you're like
your names are compatible?
Yeah, like, you know, where you just type your names into the thing.
Okay.
It all starts from there. And then when you become a teenager, they come out with the stupid magazines
yeah.
that say like the star sign matches and stuff. And then it just gets progressively worse.
Yeah, I definitely, like, that's the first thing people ask me, like, if they first ask me about their chart or something, and they're like, oh, tell me about my chart, but then the second thing they ask me is like, oh, so
who am I compatible with?
Who am I compatible with? I'm dating this person, they're a Virgo, am I compatible with them? And I'm like, listen,
do you like
can't
them?
Just ask me that. Yeah, I'm just like, do you like them? How long have you been dating? Like, are you over that honeymoon period yet? Because it's like, you don't want to go in and be like, oh, you know, it seems like they're not compatible with me, I'm not going to date them anymore. Like, I'm just like scrolling through Tinder, oh, they're a Capricorn. No. Like, that's literally like defeats the purpose of like doing a synastry chart. Like, you're supposed to see what's going to work. Like, no relationship is ever going to be perfect. Ever. It's always going to have ups and downs. Like, it's always going to, like, you're two different people. It's never going to be black and white. So, like, obviously there's some simple ways that we can look at your chart and their chart and see how maybe,
like,
you know, how we could work together. But there's never even if, you know, you have difficult placements or whatever, it's never going to be a yes or a no. It's just going to be like, okay, these are the things you need to work on, and these are the things that you maybe don't need to work on as much. Yeah. You know?
And because that's the thing, is it synastry chart?
It's a synastry chart is, when it's like two people. Like, it doesn't have to be in a relationship. It can be with a friend, a colleague, your boss, if you're having troubles with your boss and you're like, okay, we need to figure out how to work together. You can do one with family. You can do multiple, like, you can do your whole family. Like, obviously that gets like crazy, but you can actually do a chart for your whole family and see how you interact with your siblings, your parents, everything like that.
Just be careful if you do that, because then it can get way too manipulative.
That is true. Yeah. But I mean, you know.
But like, I feel like with that, you have to remember that like those like astrology compatibility charts and stuff are, at the end of the day, just charts. Like, it's one thing I've learned from looking at like serial killer and stuff charts. Some of them have freaking beautiful charts. Like, some of the charts I look at and I'm like, oh my god, you are the sweetest, most beautiful person in the world. I would love to meet you. And then it's like, well, no, it's because they didn't work on these things, and then these things manifested as a result, and then there was these transits that happened at this time, and all of these things that affected them, and then like the mixture of the nature and the nurture. And it's exactly the same with your relationship. Like, if your chart with your partner could be perfect, but it's like, if there's those moments of like deceit or like mistrust, or even if you just put the dishes in the dishwasher a way that they don't like, but you guys don't have the communication skills to talk that out, those things can all manifest into negativity. And if you don't work through it, then that's a problem. But it's like, if you guys could have the worst looking compatibility chart, not that there is good or bad, but you could look at it and think that it looks horrible. But if you're both willing to work and make adjustments to suit the other person's needs and understand the other person's needs, then it can be like the most perfect
thing. Quote unquote perfect. Like, obviously as humans we all perceive things differently, and I think that is also one thing that can come into play with like relationships and stuff like that. So your charts can look like, oh, you have like a really harmonious synastry chart together or something, but like, you have to figure out what the other person's perception is on different situations versus yours. And like, that does come with obviously communication. Like, that's how you're going to figure it out and everything like that. So like, there's so many things that come into play.
You can't just say yes or no, because it's like saying a yes or no to whether you are compatible with someone off of a chart is like saying whether you are compatible with yourself.
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
chart. Like that
And you're
doesn't
like,
make
"Fuck no."
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, there's going to be hard times. There's going to be like
Yeah, like
good times.
you have
like,
so many conflicts between like you were literally just saying how your Gemini Venus conflicts your Taurus Sun, and that is, and whether that is you or whether that is a relationship or whether that is a global event, all of these are just charts, and we just interpret we just interpret the chart through what happens in the nature of it all. So I think that that's like one thing that's very important to remember. But also, it's like if you have too much of a good thing, it can also be bad.
Yes.
Like if you have like as we were saying before we started
That
recording,
compatibility
they
chart?
Cosmopolitan or whoever.
yeah.
I've got like an astrology book, and it has a section there in compatibility, and it'll be like, oh, these signs are really, really compatible together.
And you just realize it's all like
It's
of
all
the
the
same
same
element.
sign.
So it's like,
Yeah, it's like I think you definitely do need an element of opposites attracts in any relationships to keep it interesting. But it's like if you have like so much fire in a relationship or way too much water in a relationship, I feel like it's like too good that it turns bad. Like if you have too much water, it can be a little bit more manipulative. It can be a bit more emotional. Whereas if you have a bit more fire, you make quick decisions, but then you don't have any stability there to back up the relationship and keep you guys grounded. You're just like a loose bushfire.
all those like magazine ones are just, like as I was saying before, it'll be like Aries and Sagittarius and Leo are like super compatible. And it's like, wait, if you have someone with too much fire energy in one chart and too much fire energy in the other chart, like that's not going to go well together. That's just going to create a bigger fire. Like how, like obviously you need to look at the singular chart first and be like, okay, does this person have, maybe they have heaps of fire in their chart, then maybe someone with more like water energy and not a lot of fire, they would like maybe mesh well together, like in the broad scheme of things. And then you can dive deeper in,
and because it's the same with, even if you look at houses, like obviously, like if you guys both are very dominant in the fourth house, like that could be seen as a very good thing because you're both very focused on family and all of that. But then again, if you both have a lot of things in the 10th house, it might mean that you guys are too focused
on
work to actually have a relationship together. So like but then it could also be a good balance to have someone in the 4th and someone in the 10th. So then you are able to have like the work and life balance that you bring into each other.
Yeah.
So it's like you can look at all of the different aspects of it in different ways and see those individual relationships together, and then look at the aspects of your relationship as well. Like, to be completely honest, like I don't think that people should look at their partner's chart until they feel like they have a really good understanding of them as a person.
Definitely.
Because then they'll be able to see how the chart reflects in them.
Yeah.
Like
I reckon like at least like minimum, at least until the honeymoon period is over, if that ever is over, or like, 6 months or a year into the relationship, maybe have a look.
I think at least it should be the same amount of time that you guys are going to make me wait to look at my baby's chart, to be honest.
And when you say you guys, do you mean me and Travis?
Yes, and my mum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree with that.
Like allow them to be their own person, allow them to show you who they are.
Yes.
And then when you look at the chart, instead of you deciding what that means for them, you'll be able to see how they relate to that.
It's just about being aware and just like being perceptive and taking, your own information by just like looking and watching and like waiting out things and waiting out cycles and stuff like that. And just, being perceptive.
Yes, and don't bring charts into arguments. It never ends well.
Yeah, that's
because then it just ends up being like you feeling like you can like you trying to be like, oh well, you only did that because of this, and then being like, that's not healthy.
Especially if they're not an astrologer, they're gonna be like, don't bring this fucking astrology.
Don't tell me who I am.
Yeah. So obviously we've said, don't base everything or base your relationship on your charts the synastry charts of you guys together or whatever, but there are some things that you can, without delving into the transits and like an actual serious synastry chart, because obviously a lot of people listening are, you know, beginners like we are, but you know, maybe have only just started listening, or they sort of know a bit about astrology and everything like that. If you do want to look at your chart and their chart and stuff, and how you could maybe work well together, I would suggest not looking at the sun at all. Not at all, but like
the sun isn't a
right
very
now.
love planet. It does nothing to really do.
It's about ego, it's about identity, and obviously that's going to come into play when you say are looking at the synastry chart with like different conjunctions and trines with their stuff. Anyways, too much to go into.
But like I feel like the main thing with when you get into like relationships and stuff is like, astrology aside, is looking beyond their ego and finding out who they really are, in quotations. Which is all hidden behind the sun anyway. So the sun is just what everyone, like, that's also the rising and stuff as well, but like you mainly just want to look at the inner planets to really understand like their communication, their love language, their emotions, and like all of those types of things.
If you have a Virgo sun and they're a Cancer sun or something, like, and someone says no, that's not compatible, just be like, shut the fuck up. I mean, maybe don't say that to their face, but like you need to focus on, if anything, their moon, because that's going to be, you know, the underlying surface, their emotions,
and also the moon will tell you like insecurities and things that make them feel bring out their emotional side as well, and
also their relationship with their mother. So like that can also, you know, show you some things. But yeah, so moon is like, as we said many times before, emotions and everything like that. So you'd need to look at their moon and your moon and see if they're similar or whatever.
And it's okay if they're not similar.
Exactly. If they're not, they might level each other out. They might balance, you know. And then obviously your Mercury. So
big
that
one.
So that is a big one, because that deals with your communication styles. If you're a Scorpio Mercury,
and then the person you're dating is a Pisces Mercury, the way that you communicate will be
like from the outside it might seem like, oh, you know, you're both water signs, so you're gonna deal really well with that, but then also they both work in different ways. So, you know, the Pisces is probably going to be like, blah 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 blah, here's all my emotions, I'm telling you every second of every day.
and expect that in return as well.
Exactly. But the Scorpio maybe needs some more time, or needs, you know, like just some space to be like, okay, I'm gathering my thoughts, and this is now I'm ready to talk to you about emotions or something. So just being aware of those placements is really important. And then also you can look at where it lights up the houses.
If you are dealing with a Scorpio Mercury, I feel like they want someone to be like, they want the stability there to know that they can open up if they want to, like the bricks around the outside of the well. They want something there to like hold it, but they don't want you creeping in and trying to break down that wall. They just want it there, and then when they're ready to open up, they will. Like, and I think that's like with people in general, like you need to be able to give them the space to like wait, but then it's like, also, if you don't want to wait around, you don't have to.
Yeah, definitely. And then we move on to Venus, which I feel like is the most obvious of them all, because it deals with love. But yeah, that's like how you feel love, how you receive love or want to receive love.
Like love languages.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, you know, if you can know your love language, that's like a great tool to use. And then also astrology is a great tool to use as well. So, you know, just because someone else's love language is, you know, acts of service and yours is gifts, doesn't mean you go, oh, we're not compatible. I can't date you anymore.
That's actually a really good analogy, because it's like, no, instead you just give them acts of service and they give you gifts. And they understand that if you give them a gift, even though they don't really like gifts, that's your way of showing love. So that's like, like, because I feel like that's something that's taken a while for like Travis and I figure out without just sitting them down and being like, take this test. It's figuring out like, oh no, I like acts of service, and like he likes giving acts of service. So like that's how like he shows love to me. But then I feel like I need to show him that same thing, but like he doesn't necessarily like receiving it in that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's just about being aware as you are aware of the love languages, and showing that. So,
and because I also think another one that comes into it is Mars, because it's how you fight.
Yeah, it's how you fight. It's also potentially like passion and sex and everything like
which
that.
Which is also how you fight.
Yeah. Depending.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that definitely does come into play. Because, you could have two, Aries, Mars, and that might work amazing in the bedroom. Like, you both hit it and quit it, like that type of...
Gosh, Elise, all the sexual innuendos. I'm going to need another cup of tea.
Because Mars is a fire energy, but just likes to be done. They've got some other things to go to. Or
Are you just bragging because you're a Mars? You're an Aries Mars?
No, I mean that's not.
At
how
least
I do it.
I didn't want to know. I don't know why you're telling me this.
But that's not every Mars Aries, as I can attribute. That's incorrect.
She's backpedaling, guys.
Anyways, so that might be amazing for a sexual relationship, but it might just not be good for, a long-term relationship.
And I know we said we weren't going to look at, like, make it too complicated, but I think but I feel like it is also important, obviously, to look at how, like, all of the planets and stuff interact with each other, but...
There's like, multiple layers. It just depends. We're just giving you the tools, and if you want to go further, you can do that.
Because are you still... I know you're having to reevaluate your prices, but will you be doing compatibility charts again?
I am. I'm doing it.
Just follow Elise on Instagram.
Side note, I'm doing up prices at the moment because,
I told you $5 was too cheap.
I know. Yeah. I was like, oh, Billy was right. It's like, dang it.
Yeah, because then you get way too many messages of people asking you. And because you said you were only going to do one A4 sheet of paper, and I said that was already too much. And then I saw on your friggin' Instagram you were doing like two full pages, and you shrunk the size of the writing down way smaller than I would have liked.
Well, I had to fit everything. I didn't want it to be 2.5 pages or something ridiculous. That's not aesthetically pleasing.
I know, but it still was over 2.5 pages.
No, I only did 3 pages. Oh, maybe it was if I did it on
If it was size 12, not margined, it would have been 10 pages.
Probably. Yeah, I had shout out to Kelly who won our giveaway, but I had her message me and she wants me to do a reading that's less basic because she knows obviously a bit more. She was like, oh yeah, like feel free to go like super deep and just like write as much as you want and tell me the price. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to write up some prices because if you tell me that, I'm going to write like a 25-page essay and it's going to be like $1 billion. Not $1 billion. No, I'd probably make it very cheap, but anyways.
No, you probably would have charged $7 because you would have been like, oh, well, she didn't actually, like, you need to value
I would have made it my fault and I would have been like, well, I said $10 or like $20, but then I just kept going and I felt like I couldn't just like stop. Like,
but see, that's the problem is because then when anyway,
I know.
you need to charge higher.
I need to figure out my relationship with money because
you don't need to look at it as like as money. If you look at it as money, then you're going to be like, oh well, I'll just do it for free because I actually quite enjoy doing it.
Yeah, I think for some
reason you need to look at it as the worth, like what it is worth to other people instead of what it is worth to you.
Well, to me, it's worth a lot more than that. But I'm just thinking to other people because I think they don't know what they're getting. And so they're unsure about it. And they're like, well, I'm not going to spend $50 on something that I'm unsure about getting.
I know, but that I feel like but then you're just doing the opposite where you're like, oh, so instead of charging them $50 for something that's worth $50, I'll charge them $5 for something that's worth $50, and then they'll be surprised.
Yeah. So anyways,
getting back onto topic, if the astrology just isn't seeming to work in my favor, and we're about to break up because he has like everything in the 12th house and just doesn't talk to me at all. Say me and my partner are just really, really incompatible, but he's got a really nice six-pack and really good hairline.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any spells that...
I have no spells, but I have advice, and it's break up with him. I think
no crystals that I can like put in his underwear.
I mean, you can try. I can give you everything in the world, but I think, you know, if you do need certain things like communication and, you know, respect. Just like willingness. Like the other person needs to be willing to work things out. And if that's not there, it's not going to work.
Oh, actually, I do have an interesting question before we close off. Mm-hmm. What is your biggest red flag? Because I only learnt what my biggest red flag was the other day when I was watching Jane the Virgin, and I was watching something on Netflix, and I got so like angry about what this person did, and I realized that it's my biggest red flag.
Well, I feel like I have many red flags.
Do you have like a number one that it's like that? Because some you can be like, that's a red flag, but you do this, so then I'm going to keep it in the arsenal of remembering that that's a red flag. But
I feel like my red flags are more little things that I'll notice and be like, that's not okay. So like, and I feel like this is such a typical one, but I can't really think of anything right specifically now. You've put me on the spot. When someone is rude to the waiter, which is a classic.
Or doesn't put their rubbish in the bin when they're like eating at a
so leaves it on the table.
Yeah, just leaves their rubbish on the table when they're sitting next to
I mean, I wouldn't say that's a deal breaker or a red flag.
That makes me so angry.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of annoying. It's definitely not a deal breaker.
Like I'm talking at a shopping center. I'm not meaning like when you go to a cafe or something. Oh, but like if you go to a shopping center and you've got a takeaway box.
Yeah.
And you just like, I remember once I went to Vapiano's, and it was like when we were in lockdown, so I was waiting for takeaway, and this lady went and put a KFC box on the counter of the Vapiano's and just walked away like, you guys can clean up my rubbish. And she literally had to walk past a bin to do it, and I was like, I was so close to saying something, but I just don't have the confrontation.
Wait, was KFC and Vapiano's next to each other?
No, it was a Garden City. So, like, she'd eaten the KFC, like, while she was walking to her car or whatever, finished and was like, oh, I don't know where to put this, even though she's standing next to a bin. And so then decided to go and put it, like, in their restaurant section on, like, one of their counters that wasn't occupied.
My God, is she insane?
Mm-hmm. And it was like in the peak of COVID, so none of the people in the because you put it on like kitchen's counter thing, so the cooks didn't want to touch it because it's just rubbish.
Rude.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would have thrown that.
Yeah, no, and then all of the waiters came out and were like, what the fuck? Wow,
love that.
Yeah.
Wow, that person's a bitch.
Yeah, so that's a red flag for me. Definitely wasn't going to date her. She was such a Karen.
Hey, don't be mean to Karens. There's some good Karens out there. I know an amazing Karen. She's not listening, but if she ever listens, I love you, Karen. You're the best. You're the best Karen out there.
Sorry, but continue with your red flags. I just got really angry for a second. It's the pregnancy.
I would say just like giving people respect if I can see that they're not giving people respect, like, or talking behind their back in a way, like, you know, when boys hang out with boys or something, if they talk about someone, especially the person they're dating, in a gross way, that's a gross deal breaker, a gross red flag. I would just say, like, just emotional maturity. I don't know, there's nothing specific, but like, you know, when you can just tell that like someone's emotionally immature. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, so my biggest red flag, and I think it's like because it's just such a manipulative tactic. It makes me so angry is when guys or girls, I'm not going to stereotype, but like for me it would be a guy doing this to me, is if they say that like they won't let you talk about your relationship to other people.
Ew.
So like, you know how like
gross.
People like if I said something to you about like, oh, Travis and I had like a big fight over like spaghetti bolognese, and then like you were to come over and then be like, oh, did you guys sort out your spaghetti bolognese drama? And then you leave, and then him be like, why the fuck did you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that because...
No,
but like, I get what
like,
you mean. Then he would find out and then be like mad about that.
Yeah, or even if he doesn't, or even if you didn't say anything, but you just acted a little off thinking that I said something to you about, like, I think that is like...
That's so controlling.
That's like my biggest, like, it makes me literally so angry just thinking about people doing that, because the thing is like when you're in a manipulative relationship, you don't realize that what the person's doing is bad because they convince you that it's your fault. So your only chance at getting perspective is from like people. Friends and family who are like, wait, what happened?
Yeah,
and you're like, no, you don't understand, it was all my fault. But then they're like, no, it wasn't. By them like taking that away, I feel like it's taking away like your one chance to gain perspective and like get out and have people there to support you, because they're going to be in your ear. All of I would say any narcissistic behavior like that is definitely a red flag. Any type of control, I'm really just like, yeet, like go the other way, really. Even if it's like, obviously they're not a narcissist or something, but they're just like, even as much as like I'm mostly monogamish ish, if you are like overly jealous of me, or like overly jealous, or like overly controlling, or like even some cute things where someone says, oh, like, you're mine, like type thing, I'm just like no, bitch. But see, because like I feel like with all of those things, it's all a matter of perspective. It's like if they're showing controlling tendencies and doing that's toxic. But if they're like, if that's what you want to feel security, then it's fine. Different. Yeah. So it's like those things are like up to be interpreted and stuff. And obviously, if you tell them that like saying that makes you uncomfortable and then they don't stop, then you know that that's a problem. But
exactly.
Yeah, it's like toxic masculinity.
It's just gross. Yeah, and I would say political views come into play a little bit. It depends what it is. Political views, and because also I feel like sometimes you just get an idea of the person based on obviously their political views, and you can tell if they're fucking assholes or if they're, you know.
No, but see, the problem with, so like in America it's a lot more simple. It's like you're either an asshole or you're not.
Exactly.
Whereas here it's like, no, you could just be uneducated, as in like the uneducated as in you don't understand like gay rights, Black Lives Matter, women's rights, like all of these different things. It's like, well, no, you just literally, unless you do really deep dives into like Australian politics, you don't actually know which parties align with what. Yeah. You just go with what you think. Like, and part of that is because like our current government spent $1 billion of taxpayers' money on advertising. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a great party. They just have more budget to advertise. It's just their
reputation. That's more important than actually doing anything.
Yeah. So anyway,
very political.
I hope you all have a Valentine's Day this Valentine, even if that Valentine is your pillow, or
even if it's a Galentine's Day. I love a good Galentine's Day. They're usually better than the Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day always end with a lot of expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Just have fun.
To do a little bit of self-care. Like, even if you're not going out on a date or anything, I think you should like sit down, do a nice facial, act as if you're getting ready to go out and do something, especially like if you've been staying at home a lot more with everything going on. Just make sure that you take the day to treat yourself and show yourself some love, because if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else?
Amen. Yeah, and just have an okay rest of Mercury retrograde.
Yes, don't get too down in the dumps about it.
It's fine.
And it is okay if you want to text your ex.
Yeah,
Taylor Swift said it was fine.
Yeah, especially, I feel like a lot of people, especially in America or, you know, overseas, who are still dealing with corona, it's like, I feel like all of 2020 and all of the COVID times is like a Mercury retrograde in itself, where it's just like, okay, we're stopping and we're reflecting and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, because that's how you should treat it. Is you should treat it as an opportunity for you to take action on the things that you want to take action on, but also to slow down and look. Yeah, that's what I've really gotten out of it, is just slowing down, looking at, like, do I really need to spend all of this time on my phone talking, or can I just be in the moment?
Yeah, it's just really about, like, taking a step back, relaxing, maybe looking inward and reassessing everything. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, you know, what's taking up my, you know, mental space and everything like that. And just, like, reassess everything and figure out if that's what you want to be doing or what you want to be thinking about. Like, you know, so yeah, it's a good time.
Yes, because Mercury retrograde can be a very loud time as well, because it can feel like everything's always going on, always at once, and you've got all of these things.
Especially,
and so it's like if you're able to achieve calmness and, like, clear-mindedness in a Mercury retrograde, then it's
you're doing good.
Then it, like, sets you up for when Mercury's no longer in retrograde, and you'll be like,
and then it's like full steam ahead. You know, we've done all the things that we need to do in Mercury retrograde, and now we're continuing to go forward.
And it ends on the 20th of February. So.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time, so. 21st.
Yeah, visit old friends. It's always nice.
Yeah, that's nice. You
that's
know,
my favourite thing. Every Mercury retrograde, I get to see one of my best friends from high school.
Oh, really? Because she messages you?
No, we message, like, all the time, but we only ever are able to arrange to see each other during a Mercury retrograde.
That's so
funny.
I'm
like, we're trying to fit it in so we see each other twice this Mercury retrograde.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, we'll see. It's not always just your text.
It's not always your exes. It's just people from your past.
Yeah, and it is bringing up things that you either need to reassess yourself, or maybe within the relationship, you know? So it's just a time of reflection, and you don't be worried about it. Just double check things, make sure you're clear with your communications, but yeah, just be aware.
And honestly, I think you should focus on your communication more before Mercury retrograde. I mean, it's like a Saturn return. It's like, I think you need to be
prepared.
If you make the effort, when Mercury's not in retrograde, your Mercury retrogrades aren't going to be bad.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I do want to say one thing though. It is a good time to, if you're really struggling with Mercury retrograde, and you always do, maybe have a look at where your Mercury is in your chart, and maybe see, like, what it's activating and what house it's in or whatever, and see if that correlates with, you know, the troubles that you're feeling in Mercury retrograde. Because I feel like sometimes, like, you know, some people just don't even notice it. It's not a big deal for them. But then others, you know, they're really scattered or they're having a hard time. So, yeah, just maybe have a look at that and see if that is correlating with what's happening in your life in this Mercury retrograde, and see what you can do to, you know, get a handle on that, or reassess and relax and reevaluate that part of your life.
Yes, the only part of Mercury propaganda that I will 100% fall into is do not get a fucking haircut. I have the worst haircut of my life. That was the shadow
period, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the shadow period.
Thought you were safe in the shadow period, but you weren't.
No, I wasn't. I ended up getting the hairdressers swapped 4 times. One of them shaved the back of my head. So I have a shaved patch on the back of my neck. None of my hairs are the same length. And I'm about to give birth, so I'm going to lose half of my hair as well. So, yeah, don't get a fucking haircut. That's the only advice I have for Mercury retrograde. But otherwise, don't believe all the other bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Only that one.
Only haircuts. Sign as many contracts as you like, but don't get your fucking haircut.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode. Hopefully we'll have one up for you very soon. We'll see how we go with that schedules.
Let us know if there's anything you guys want us to talk about more. I know we like talk about heaps of different topics, but we're more so testing to see what you guys like as well. So if you want us to do like more self-care, if you want us to talk about like tarot or like magic and stuff more, or
maybe go into like the updates on the transits and stuff every episode. Some people are into that and some people aren't, so let us know if that's too much or...
Well, yeah, I'm glad that we're not having to do one for this month, because this month there's so many things going on.
I know. It's an Aquarius month. It's a very airy time.
Airy fairy.
And we did say on our last episode that we weren't going to record on an Aquarius moon. And we haven't. It's still in Capricorn, but just all the other planets are in it.
Yeah, there's 4 other planets.
In 2 days there's 6. On the new moon there's 6.
No, there's 5 and then a...
asteroid.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not important.
Depends on what you count.
There's a lot of things happening in Aquarius, so yeah, it I guess it's a time to sort of like reflect on your community as well. Like, yes, you can look at your personal placements of where Aquarius sits in your chart and see what that's activating for you. But yeah, Aquarius energy is just about the collective, about the community, like doing what's right. Yeah, for the community. And so
I think that March and end of February and stuff are going to bring a lot of good into the world as we move from like that reinventive energy into a more like compassionate, still communal energy of Pisces. I think that'll be quite nice. Obviously, like the more outer planets are going to stay in Aquarius for a lot longer.
Yeah.
But like with Venus and stuff moving into Pisces, I think that'll be a good time for change.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, have a good week, and we will see you next time. And as we always say...
Oh, you say it.
I'm gonna let you do it.
Oh, okay. May the stars
be
forever in your favor.
No, that's why I don't let you do it.
May the stars be forever in your favor.
No. Try again.
If you keep on getting me to do it, I'm just gonna keep on...
Oh, fine, I'll do it. I hate you. And may the stars be forever in your favor. I hate you so much.